Okay. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight we'll be kicking off the first of 4 special meetings to discuss the charter and any potential amendments to the March 5th statewide primary election. So before Council begins its deliberations and discussions, a little bit of background. So a charter is akin to the U.S. Constitution. It's a foundational document that really lays out the framework for how a city works. It's not really meant to lay out all the finer details, but it's really to provide some big picture policies about how we want to govern as a city. Charter cities have the authority to establish many of their own rules and regulations based on their local needs, local culture, giving them more autonomy and flexibility to govern themselves. And approximately 121 out of 482 California cities have a charter, and the rest are general law cities. So the first recognized Huntington Beach charter was established in the 1930s, and since then it's been amended about 16 times to reflect some of the evolving priorities that the community would see over time. All of the charter amendments must be approved by the majority of voters at an election. And so what has happened since then? Our charter that stands today was last amended in 2010, and the last completed review was back in 2021 and 2022 by the Charter Revision Citizen Committee, which recommended several amendments to the City Council. Those amendments went to Council, who considered them. They selected a few of them, added a few more, and placed them across 3 ballot measures on the November 2022 general elections. It should be noted all 3 measures were defeated at the polls. Timeline leading up to today since the last completed charter review. On June 6th, City Council formed the Charter Review Ad Hoc Council Committee and to recommend charter amendments for the upcoming statewide primary elections in March. Throughout the summer, the committee worked with the city attorney to prepare 7 amendments that were considered by council on August 1st. The council approved all 7 amendments, added 3 more, and directed the city attorney to prepare all materials to place the items on the March ballot. In August 2023, the city attorney's office prepared all the required materials to place the amendments across 3 measures. And on September 5th, council engaged in some good discussion about each of the ballot measures, and then they voted ultimately to hold these special meetings to gather more public input before any final decisions were made. So that's where we're at today. We are hosting the first of 4 special meetings to gather public feedback tonight before any decisions are made. So again, here's the charter review process. Over the next 4 meetings on September 14th, 21st, 28th, and October 5th, City Council will engage in some discussion over the charter, gather public input, and consider what amendments that should be placed on the March ballot. The community is absolutely invited to attend every meeting, provide public comments before and after discussion. And tonight, September 14th, Council will really be just taking input from the public and trying to understand what the public needs or would like regarding the charter. Similarly, at the next meeting on September 21st, Council will continue to engage in discussion and receive feedback and recommendations not only from the public but also from staff. Staff will make sure to bring as much fiscal and other impact analyses as possible so that you can have a fully informed discussion. And at that time, Council will also make some recommendations on what they believe should be in the charter. And this is really an opportunity to fine-tune some of those amendments. And at the 3rd meeting, Council will consider the amendments using straw votes to figure out which ones would be on the March ballot. There could be some discussion as well. Maybe some of the amendments would go on a future ballot. Maybe some of the amendments can be handled with other legislative tools like ordinances and resolutions, but that will all be discussed over these 4 meetings. The last meeting on October 5th, Council will review the ballot measure materials for the March 5th election and conduct formal votes to place them on the ballot. Council will then identify city representatives to prepare the impartial analyses and arguments and rebuttals. And again, this is the meeting where all those resolutions that you had seen on September 5th, Similar ones would be brought back to reflect some of the input that was gathered during this 4-meeting session. December 8th is listed on there because that is the Registrar of Voters' absolute drop-dead deadline to provide all of those materials to them in order to make that March ballot. But again, our goal is to finish on October 5th, so that gives staff plenty of time to gather all the materials so that we're not racing against the clock. And March 5th, that's the big day. Residents will vote on the charter amendment ballot measures. If any of them are approved, they will be incorporated into the charter after the county certifies the election results. That takes roughly a month or so. And that's it. That's my presentation for tonight.
Okay. Any questions from members about process?
I think the agenda basically states that there's a bit of a discussion to occur, no? Including the slide. Council will discuss potential amendments based on feedback received from the audience. And the item actually says discussion of potential charter amendments.
That's administrative. That's what we just heard.
No, we just heard public comment. We haven't.
No, we just heard the administration on what's coming up in the next 4 weeks. That was that presentation you just saw.
But on slide.
On the agenda, that's what that is.
But on slide 6, it states that after staff will provide a charter overview and the steps to require to amend it, and then afterwards, council will discuss potential amendments based on feedback received.
Right.
And the heading of the amendment. So I came prepared to discuss charter amendments. Are you ready to go home?
No, today was just a pure listening session.
That's not what's in the agenda. That's not what's in the staff presentation. That's not the understanding. I got childcare tonight to come down and work here for an hour and 20 minutes.
City attorney, you look at the agenda, that's what we put down on the agenda.
Yeah, so I didn't prepare the agenda, so I don't have any comment. I mean, beyond what, I mean, it's the mayor's meeting on the one hand, and then the agenda does have a note for discussion. It's not really a legal issue, it's agendized.
Yeah, okay.
So.
I mean, the thought of today was just to get input and then bring next week, we're going to get more input and then bring ideas. And then each council member will then discuss the different ideas coming from the community. And at that point, next week, we will discuss in detail a lot of these amendments that we're talking about. And then the third week, then that's when we start doing voting. So that's what we're going to be doing.
So, Mr. Mayor, you had seen, you saw this agenda, you saw the staff presentation. It's been up for 48 hours.
Yeah, no,
I could have had a supplemental communication. Correct me. I showed up to work tonight.
Okay, well, again, tonight was a
show up to
listening
work
session. Tonight was a listening
That's
session.
not clear in anything, any memo, any staff comments, anybody. I got no information on this. I got childcare tonight. I spent last night and the week before reviewing what happened in the last 75 years of this.
I thought it was important to listen tonight. And
I
then,
did too.
Okay.
We listened to 34 speakers for an hour and 20 minutes.
Council member, we're going to do the process, and the process is next week. Be prepared for next week then.
That's not what was agendized, Mr. Mayor. You're wasting the public's time if we're not able to actually deliberate and discuss what folks said tonight while it's fresh. We're going to have everybody come back again next week and talk about it? There were salient points. There were salient points made tonight.
If there was miscommunication, but that's not what we had for tonight.
How is anyone supposed to know that?
Okay.
I had no communication from the mayor or from staff that this was a listening session. I read what was in the staff report and the presentation and came prepared to do work tonight.
All right. Well, that's where I decided you could appeal the ruling of the chair if you like. I'm the chair. That's what we're going to do. You have an opportunity to appeal the ruling of the chair. If you like.
There's 3 people here, right? We've got 6 people to do things.
Right, and you need a majority in order to overrule the chair.
So let me ask Mr. McKeon, was this what you anticipated as having public conversation and input where we sit around for an hour? We sit around for an hour and 20 minutes. You were here for almost a year listening to public comment, working through this process, going through every section of the charter.
Right.
And tonight we're going to hear from 34 people and go home?
Again, the goal these 4 meetings was to maximize public participation. So tonight was a goal for residents to come up, opine whether they like some things, they don't like some things, walk through the process, give them another chance to come up and opine if they like some things, they don't like some things. We go back as a deliberative body. We go back as a deliberative body ourselves, take all their feedback, decide amongst ourselves. Me personally, I heard some good things tonight that I liked.
Like what?
Again, this is the process. You asked me a question. Again, you asked me a question. We have 4 meetings. We went through the cadence to get it right. So I'm trying to maximize public participation, but I'm answering your question.
I understand.
This is
But we're
what
trying to
happens when you
maximize
make,
public- so I don't understand what-
stuff up as you go along. This is what happens. Nobody understands what's supposed to happen.
We laid out a process, like, there's items on the agenda, or items that were presented at the last meeting that need financial analysis. We're going to lose a week.
We're going to get that financial
But
analysis.
why don't we direct staff to do that right now?
They already know that they're coming back. And if you listen to the presentation, they're going to come back with financial analysis on all the items that we discussed.
Why not give them a week's head start?
They already know. They already just told you that they're going to come back with the financial analysis.
I don't know if that's...
Is that correct? I thought I heard you correctly. You're coming back with financial analysis on all the items.
We are committed and prepared to bring
Right.
that back.
Exactly.
On all of-
By the way, are you prepared to do that tonight?
We don't have those exact
I didn't
figures
think
right
so.
now.
That
So
wasn't what
that's
I was
another
asking.
reason.
That wasn't what I was asking. I was saying that there are, because...
Again, Councilman, we're not going to keep going back and forth
Have we
here.
started
We're
the
not going to go back and
process
forth. You have an
over?
opportunity to appeal the motion of the chair.
Well, let's
You
go
can
ahead and
do
do
it.
that. I'll make a
Okay.
motion to appeal. Actually, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn all charter discussion and eliminate the last meetings and remove this from the agenda completely. For going forward, I think we should abandon this process, this entire charter process, and amending and putting anything on the ballot in March.
Okay,
And that's my
you
motion.
make that motion?
And I want to make a friendly amendment to your motion that we do it with the Charter Review Commission the way it was done last time, if we're going to do anything. If you'll accept that friendly.
I think it's a
up to you.
secondary. I think it's a second motion. I think that this process, I think that there are substantial changes that were discussed in the last time and micro changes that just clean up the charter and change language that actually Mr. McKeon was in support of in all of his straw votes going through. So I think my motion stands as I think we should abandon the entire process, not re-agendize any of the previous things that came out of the ad hoc committee and completely abandon this amendment process unless I guess that's the friendly amendment, unless a charter review commission is formally called that has members of the community and goes through the charter starting at the beginning effectively, because I know we've already done the work and previously could work on that, but at this point to have us sit here for an hour and a half to listen to the public, which is great, and I appreciate that, but then to do no work on that input is, I think, a waste of this council's time.
But I think if you look at the...
I second that, by the way.
I think
just-
real quick before you guys vote on it, I think the goal is to maximize public participation. I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting that when I was on the Charter Commission, we had very few people that actually came to the meeting and spoke. Just tonight alone, we've had triple the amount of people that ever came over that whole 6-8 month process. By us doing this, we elevate the attention to this critical matter. And so over 4 meetings, we're trying to maximize public participation. This is the intake meeting where we hear from all the residents. We come back and then we start dissecting it, formulating it, answering all their questions, have facts, have details, have costs, financial implications. This banner back and forth, you're limiting the public's participation. They're going to get another chance after hearing all this, the process, how the next 4 meetings are going to go, to now go, hey, I think on the next meeting you guys should address this. We're incentivizing public participation. That's the goal for tonight. I don't understand the issue.
But-